Ready to get rolling?
Let's
Ready to
roll.
start the show officially?
Let's do it.
Welcome on in to the Utah Blockcast. This is our October 2nd live stream. Appreciate everybody for hopping in, tuning in, and all that. It's been a lot of fun, and please share this with your friends, with your family members. Invite them to the live stream. Like we did last week, we'll open up with a Q&A. So make sure to use, send in your questions, submit your questions through the chat features and all of that. We'll make sure to run through them as best we can and as quickly as we can. So, yeah, excited for tonight, man. Bennett, it's the bye week. How you doing, brother?
Outside of it being the bye week, pretty good. Pretty good. Utah sitting in a nice place as they head into the bye week, have some opportunity to get some of the guys healthy, have some opportunities to help some of the guys grow and get better. Perhaps a guy in the safety room having that extra week to adjust, things like that, and just getting ready for an absolute challenge in Arizona State. Arizona State and Utah both being on bye this week. It's kind of sets up a nice little matchup when we come back together next week and start breaking down that matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to this next phase of the schedule. And, this is where we're going to learn a lot about Utah, right? We got a first big test against Texas Tech. And unfortunately, given the circumstances and the context around what happened that week, I don't think we got a really genuine idea of how good this, Utah offense specifically can be. So, obviously we've learned a lot about this group through 5 games, and I think there's a lot to be excited about and a lot to be confident about moving forward. And so tonight's episode is basically all of the above. We're going to provide a little report card running through position by position, giving a little grade and kind of talking through our thoughts on each position group. We're then going to look ahead to the remaining schedule and rank the difficulty of each matchup and kind of talk through some of the matchups that we like, some things that we don't like about the matchups and all of that. So I think this is going to be a fun one. And then again, just to reiterate for the people that are just hopping in, please feel free to submit your questions. We've got one followed up with another one. Shout out to F1 Nick. But yeah, submit your questions. We want to start with a live Q&A, so please feel free to send those send those comments, send those questions coming in, and we appreciate everybody. And dude, so you're a lefty?
I'm ambidextrous, so
Okay.
I'm not as straightforward as you, but writing, eating, using
Right-handed?
scissors, those are all left-handed things.
Oh,
Yeah, if
you're
I got to throw,
backwards.
yeah, I would have loved to have been a lefty. Maybe I could have been a pitcher or something like that. But yeah, I got half of it right and half of it left, I guess.
Dude, it's so surreal. Just the similarities. It's crazy. It's we literally are twins. I don't know what else to say. Anyways, starting to get some questions coming in, so appreciate everybody again. Just kind of submit your questions through the chat features and we'll get going to those pretty soon here. But let's talk first, Bennett, about just kind of the upcoming weekend. It's the bye week for Utah. And so it's kind of interesting one. Do you got any plans for the bye week? And are you going to be tuning into any games this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, bye week is a perfect time to just absolutely hate watch, if you will, and root for
Yeah.
chaos and not have to have any concerns about what's going on in your own world of football. So I'll definitely be tuning into some. Definitely probably do some fall activities and things like that with the family since we've got that time to do so. So probably fall drive, maybe a pumpkin patch. Maybe smoke some meats. Maybe do some of those honey dews that
Oh yeah.
I've been putting off since football season started. But Yeah, no, I'll definitely be checking out some of the football games. Iowa State, Cincinnati's one I've got an eye on. Cincinnati's favorite as the home team against Iowa State. I think it's an opportunity to kind of see what does Cincy have. They had a nice win against Kansas last week in Lawrence, so I want to check that one out. Outside of that, Texas, Florida, just because, just kind of a chaos thing. I think I became a little bit of a Gator fan when went to the Swamp, rooting for that Vandy upset against Alabama.
You either did or you came away hating Gator fans. So yeah,
they were good to me, at least for the most part. I must have sat in the right spot because I did see some of that feedback.
Yep.
Texas Tech Houston's one that I think everybody's interested in. Houston undefeated. Texas Tech seeming like a wagon. See how that goes.
Ooh, FSU Miami, that's a good one.
Another good one there. Yeah, but mostly just rooting for chaos, rooting for all the underdogs, and spending time with family. That's the emphasis this weekend. How about yourself?
Well, lucky you, man. I'm working on the basement this weekend, so man, hoping to have that done by the end of the season, maybe, and I'll be able to record down there for an episode, maybe. So we'll see. But that's what we've got on tap this weekend. Working on the basement, so look forward to that. Anyways, we've got a few questions rolling in, so we'll start getting to some of those and some of the comments as well. But like I said, continue to submit your questions, submit your comments. We'll get rolling through those as well. So yeah, I think again, just kind of talking about the team and all that, I think there's a lot that we've taken away through the first 5 games, but still a lot to learn. So I'm excited to get to it, man. So should we start diving into some of these questions, Bennett? Let's get to it, man.
Yeah. And again, just keep the questions coming. We're going to answer those as they come through. We want to do live Q&A. We want to get you guys involved in it, and also just, help steer some of the conversation. Steve and I got a lot planned for this episode, but we want to make sure that we're covering the things that you want to hear about as well. So let's dive in.
Before we get to the question, I want to make sure to give this, shout out to HVU, man. I've been in the gym working on my fitness and hitting the treadmill and the stair climber, dude. I'm getting my steps in, my 10,000 steps a day. I'm getting them in. I'm slimming up a little bit and also trimming up the beard. I think that helps a lot. So shout out to HVU for the love, man.
Recognize.
All right, where should we start first?
What everybody wants to know about.
Yeah, latest on the injuries, and I've heard good things. I've heard that this is a very timely bye week, and I think everybody is enjoying the time to focus on their rehab. And I think it came at just the right time for a couple guys, Jackson Benny, Aliki Vamahi, and Dallas Vakalahi in particular. So, I think there's a lot of optimism that we're going to see those guys, pretty soon. Arizona State, BYU, I think that's certainly within reach. I wish I could talk more about the injuries. Just don't have a lot of specifics, but I've gotten a couple positive updates this week that things are looking good for the guys that they've got injured. And again, with Aliki Vamahi, I think him not playing last week was to get him back for ASU and for BYU. And so with Dallas, heard it was just a retweak of his previous injury. And I think that's more encouraging than not, that it's not something else. So we'll see, but trending positively on the injury front for those 3 guys.
Got a lot of injury questions.
Yeah.
You want to entertain this one from Chosen You? He says not to, but can.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
How much does BYU get beat by this weekend? Don't answer this. Just saying what's up. Go Utes.
Shout out to Chosen Utes.
I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can get beat, as we've learned from that specific crowd. There's a lot of ways that you can get beat that aren't necessarily on the scoreboard. If you follow Stats of War, there's ways to get beat there. They lost to Colorado more or less there, but yeah, that shouldn't be a hard one for them to get done in Provo. The teams traveling on a Friday night don't typically fare well. That's a really tough travel, especially with that being across country already on a short week into a ruckus crowd. BYU should be able to move through that pretty quickly. They do have a true freshman quarterback starting. You never know what somebody can do in a pinch. Might be able to make some things messy for BYU, but they're predicted to win by quite a good, strong margin. As long as it's not 34, we can take one of those wins out of their playbook.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that one's going to be interesting. So I think West Virginia may have found, their quarterback. And, with what we saw from the Khalil something, but the lefty, he made some plays, made a couple throws. I'm curious to see what he looks like with a full week of prep. BYU should take care of business against the Mountaineers and win comfortably, but I'm certainly, I'll tune in at least. I'll keep tabs on that score for sure.
Friday night, not a lot going on. That's some watchable football.
Yeah, for sure.
Part of the bye week watch, if you will.
And F1 Nick said, I think referring to Ty Edwards, I do think he's back. And if they get him back, that's a significant piece to that West Virginia offense as well. So that would be a big one to get him back for them. So we'll see what that looks like. What else have we got here?
HD, do the hats go backwards and forwards in unison? We show up in the StreamYard and it looks whatever it looks like. It looks like tonight, Wyoming Cowboys. It happens, man. It happens. There was like a point in time where we were wearing the same color shirt, and then there's one time I get on and I'm not wearing a hat, and he's not wearing a hat. It just we're on that wavelength, brother.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Rich Austin has a good one that what's your favorite breakfast spot in Salt Lake City on Saturday game days, and what's your go-to order?
Oh man, when I can get there, when there's enough time, it's always the Park Cafe. That's always the move for me. I love what is it? Eggs in the City. I love Eggs in the City. They've got a tasty little plate there that I always get. And so those are my two spots, Park Cafe and Eggs in the City.
For me, I have no complaints with Park Cafe. I have no complaints with Eggs in the City, but it's got to be sitting outside at Roost Diner. Big fan. Love the environment. Drive up the canyon just a little bit, and Roost Diner is really good. And my go-to order there is the chicken fried steak Benedict. Shout out Smoking Ute for introducing me to that plate. I'm a big chicken fried steak guy.
Frick that guy.
He doesn't know food. But that's the go-to order for me. I mean, they come out, they give you these big old biscuits, and it's just good. But it's about that time of year where it starts to get cold, and the outside play doesn't play as much.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to get to this from Tyrell. Did you guys see the injury report for Iowa State and Cincy? It was long. I didn't get through all the words on the injury report. I have a 50-word limit when I read things, and that's about I hit that pretty quick on that injury report.
That's why I call you when I want to talk to you.
Dude, it's okay, but for real, I think that has been something that's been really interesting to see is the amount of injuries that everybody else is dealing with, right? Like we know the injury bug has hit Utah and hit them pretty hard the last two seasons. And I think this season, it's been unfortunate to see the injuries and especially the guys that are now out for the season, like that's been tough. Injuries suck, but I think appreciate the health that you do have, because you look at Iowa State, you look at who else has had Colorado, TCU, they've had pretty lengthy injury reports, and
West
I think
Virginia.
that's West Virginia as well. So appreciate the health that you have, and I think that's been a big thing, at least for me. Seeing these injury reports from across the conference has been, it kind of gives you perspective, a little bit on these injuries.
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate for the most part in that spot. It sucks to see the injuries in the safety room, because that was something that was a little bit thin coming into the season. Kind of don't know what you got really. So losing Rabbit early hurts, and Nate Ritchie going down. Definitely going to need some guys to step up and maybe even fill in. Scally and Witt have been masterminds at moving guys into positions of opportunity. So maybe you see some of that down the stretch. But overall, when you look around the league, you're right. Utah doesn't have it that bad.
Yeah. Yep. So knock on wood, obviously, everybody knock on wood. Knock on wood. And let's make sure these boys are getting healthy. And again, just to kind of bring this back up, Steele Austin asking, if there's going to be any players we're expecting to have back from injury for ASU. You already hit on the injury stuff earlier, but if you missed it, good things for Jackson Benny, Aliki Vamahi, Dallas Vakalahi. I think the bye week came at just the right time for those three in particular. There's a couple other guys, Carson Kafusi, the true freshman. He's been dealing with something. He hasn't been on the injury report, but still dealing with something. And I think him not playing last week was big for him and helping him now get as healthy as he can for this next stretch run. So there's good news, guys trending positively. And again, I think the bye week came at just the right time for these guys.
Yeah. And Tyrell had a follow-up saying that he brought up the Iowa State injury report, saying, I bring that up because we don't play Iowa State and they could lose that one, which could be beneficial for Utah in the race. Iowa State doesn't have the toughest of schedules. Utah doesn't have that opportunity to get that head-to-head advantage. So if you're a Utah fan, you're a big Cincy fan too this week.
I think so. And that matchup in particular is really interesting now because, Iowa State just lost their top two cornerbacks. And with the way that Brendan Sorsby has been playing ball, he's a quarterback that I liked coming into the season, but just had questions about the guys around him. And there's still some questions, but I think with what we saw last week with Cincy against Kansas, going into Lawrence and getting that win there, getting some playmaking on the outside, I still think Iowa State, I just trust them more in this situation to get the win, but there is a big pathway for Cincinnati to get this win against Iowa State. It's why they're favored, but it's going to be on Brendan Sorsby in that passing attack to take advantage of the injuries that they're dealing with in the secondary, in my opinion. So that's going to be a fun one. And again, like you said, if you're a Utah fan, you're definitely rooting for Cincinnati because you then get Cincinnati a few weeks later coming into Rice-Eccles Stadium.
Yeah.
Not officially, but yeah, it's not good. So yeah, on Nate Ritchie. So just for the podcast, because the people will listen to this that didn't tune in, that aren't watching. Andrew asked, any update on Nate Ritchie, and the word that I got is he's done. So not great. Certainly unfortunate for him. I think he's going to be missed. Obviously, his experiences, leadership, and all of that is stuff that you just can't quantify. So yeah, pretty tough.
Start pumping up Nate Tillman.
Yeah, I think, and again, when we're talking about bye weeks and kind of the timely nature of it, Nate Tillman, for him specifically, you get all those rips against West Virginia. You can now go to tape, and Morgan Scalley can walk him through tape and walk him through issues and mistakes and correct those things. And Nate, that's going to benefit Nate so much. So this bye week specifically for Tillman is so beneficial because he's going to have all that extra time to work on some things with Coach Scalley.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. A player comes in the heat of the moment and has to step up. It's kind of come in like a little deer in the headlights. And not saying that that was Nate Tillman. I thought he had some good moments, and he had some moments where he got some things on tape that he's going to look at and he's going to learn from. But having that 2 weeks to fully absorb that I'm the guy mentality is gonna do well for him. So, but yeah, Nate Ritchie didn't look great coming off the field on Saturday. Yeah.
How about some recruiting updates? So, I think two things going on here with Utah football. You've got the 2026 class coming in, closing in on the finish line in December, and you've got 2027 recruiting ramping up in a significant way for Utah right now. And so it's kind of a balance between both. And I think Utah feels really good about the momentum that they're gaining in each class. So, I don't have necessarily specific names that I can share just yet, but I will just share that Utah is trending positively towards another, nice little December finish like we saw last year. And if you remember last year, right, they weren't the 4-star guys. They weren't the highly touted guys that we had been following all season long, but Bird Ficklin, Daniel Bray, Pupu Sepulona, Dylan Curtis, all 4 of those guys we've watched this season and have come away really excited about what they bring to the table. Racing Guillory is another running back that committed in December. So I think Utah's trending pretty positively towards another positive December finish, and they're now starting to gain traction with 2027 prospects. And I think the thing here is, when you talk about that 27 class, we're seeing a lot of commitments, right? We're seeing a lot of commitments to other programs. There's a long ways to go. And, as long as Utah continues to take care of business, that's going to help them in their recruitment of other players. And as we've seen the last couple of years with the NIL stuff, you can flip some guys, and it's very doable. So that'll be fun. And I think that's sort of what Utah's trending towards.
Yeah. And I'd expect some momentum, some opportunity for momentum with these next 2 games. You got Arizona State, win that. And then you go into Provo, win that. That holy war has huge implications on in-state recruiting and whatnot. But getting up there and getting those 2 wins in a row, that'll allow for some momentum to help close out the class. So I feel like Utah's kind of at this tipping point. There's some wait and see, get some momentum, and there might be some momentum from the donor base and whatnot as well. So
that helps too. All right, next question. We gotta start powering through these. Tyrell asks, during the bye week, what does the week look like for the team? Any practices or just mainly rest? So it is very light on practices. They are practicing, but it is very light. This is about rest. This is about recovery. This is about rehab. This is about all of those things to get right for the next phase of the schedule. So they are on the field. They are doing things. They are working out. They're doing all those sort of things, but it is very light. So I think that's the focus during bye week. Let's see. Dude.
Yeah.
Shout out our guy, Andrew Crane. Shout out the guy grinding that tape, dude. Turning into the Todd McShay of Utah football. Maybe not Todd McShay. Maybe what's his face? The ESPN one. God, what's his name? Now I'm blanking on the guy with the weird food habits. What's his name? The draft guy for ESPN. Mel Kiper. My goodness, dude. Todd.
Put me on the pod.
All right, next one. This one from Steve Miller. What do you guys think would make Kyle come back next season? I think we kind of all assume this is it. So good or bad, what would motivate him to run it back? Man, I tell you what, if they have a good season and everybody's kind of pointing towards returning to run it back for another year, there's nothing quite like another winning season on the old resume. So we'll see.
it's interesting because there were thoughts that that was it for him after kind of getting to the first Rose Bowl, after the second Rose Bowl. You never know what Kyle's going to do, and he's earned that right.
Yep, for sure. All right, this one from Rich Austin. Ryan Davis has 348 receiving yards so far. If the over/under is set at 1,000 yards, which are you taking? And I have a follow-up.
I don't think he's going to get to that 1,000-yard mark, but I do think he's going to outpace what he's currently pacing. So 5 games in, 348 yards. Let's call that 70 yards a game. He's got 6 games left. So 420 more yards would get him to about 770 yards, 768 to be exact. I think he's going to be in that 850 or 900 range. But then you got maybe Arlington, maybe more. He can get there. He can get there. I guess 1,000's not that tough.
Yeah, especially if he stays on this pace over the last couple weeks that we've seen. I wonder though if the more appropriate over under is 100 catches on the season. Is that more doable?
What's he sitting at right now?
36. So he'd have to go on a rip, dude. He'd have to go on a tear, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean,
maybe it is 1,000. Maybe it is 1,000 yards. Maybe that is the better number. Yeah, we'll stick with that.
I think the yards are easier.
Yeah, for sure.
This made me laugh, so we have to go here real quick. Crane says, "Compare me to Mel Kiper again, and I'll block you, Steven." And then he said, "What does a Scally staff look like? Beck at OC and Swan at DC?"
That is a terrific question, dude. I think obviously, Beck at OC makes all the sense. I think there's a great deal of desire to keep him around as long as possible. With the defensive coordinator position, I've always been of the mindset that Swan would make the most sense, only because I've always thought that Coach Shaw was more interested in continuing to coach the cornerbacks and make that his sole focus. That is something that he expressed to us media members, years back, like 2018, 2019, one of those years. That is something that he told us that's what he was focused on. He had no interest in becoming the DC, but there have been rumblings, the last couple of years that might not be the case. And if I'm Scally and I have an opportunity to have Coach Shaw as my DC, man, I really like the way that looks, that sounds. Coach Lou is another guy that's been with the program a lot of years. He's vital, absolutely vital to Utah's recruiting success. And he's a guy that is also worthy of that coordinator title. So Scally's got some options there. And I think if Shaw is genuinely interested in the job, man, I think that would be great.
Yeah, and I don't want to act like I know things, but sometimes I hear things and I don't know whether they're true or not. But heard that Swan was getting some looks from some places, and Utah took care of him to kind of keep him here at Utah. So I think he's a part of the plan, at least going forward.
Oh, very much. Yeah. And, he's got the experience as a coordinator, as a play caller as well at Weber State. He's a guy, all three of those guys, like Scally, isn't going to be able to go wrong with who he picks there. So that's the good news.
I got flex real quick, Steve. Pick 6 U says, shout out Glass for the Denver food Rex, 2 for 2. I got you, Pick 6. He sent him to Cherry Cricket and sent him to Sam's number 3 diner. 2 can't miss spots.
There you go, man. There you go. All right, this one from Scuba Ute. Scubaka Ute. I should say that right. My bad, Scubaka. If Witt comes back next year, it's to lead a senior Devin Dampier to a Big 12 title, college football playoff berth. Utah is still very much alive, in play for both this season, though, so time will tell. Last one here, Adam Howick. Hey, fellas, what do you think Harding's future looks like at Utah? bright as can be. But no, specifically, talking to some of the details, Harding is a guy, he's had the run game coordinator duties with Coach Ludwig previously. He's instrumental in the game planning and putting together, sort of the plan with the run game. And I think, he's got interest in becoming a play caller. Does that mean that's his top priority? I don't think so. I know he loves living in Utah. I know his family loves it here. And, with Isaac Asiata being in that room again, I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that, those two will be in the program for the foreseeable future. But, at the very least, Harding now has a guy in Isaac Asiata that he can pass the torch to and continue to carry on that old block tradition with a lot of optimism. So, yeah. Yeah, it sounded wrong. Yeah, you're right. I should watch Star Wars.
We have another thing in common, Steve.
Oh, you've never watched Star Wars? Oh my god.
No, I've watched them. I'm just not I lack imagination as a kid where, people would be watching Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. It was a lot of Sports Center and a lot of live sports, whatever I could get my hands on.
Yeah, for sure. All right, dude. I think that does it for the questions. We got some good comments. Appreciate everybody for tuning or chiming in with comments, with questions. We didn't get to all of them. We didn't get to post all of them. So if we didn't get to you, we apologize. But man, we've gone 30 minutes running through some of these. So appreciate everybody for tuning in with that. So let's transition.
I was gonna say, and if we missed your question, we'll be in the space for a bit after this. So feel free to hold on to that, and we'll have some time to talk about it. But yeah, as Bartle's hinting at, we've got a lot more stuff to get into.